Have you ever walked into a room and noticed that one guy who just seems to own the space? He isn't necessarily the loudest or the best looking, but people gravitate towards him. He has this aura that makes people lean in the moment he speaks. It's not because of luck or some extrovert gene. The secret is real high-level aura. Most people think you're either born with it or you aren't. They are dead wrong. Aura is a psychological language that can be built piece by piece until you become unshakable. I know exactly how it feels to be on the outside looking in. I spent years as the invisible friend. I had a solid group, people didn't dislike me, but I wasn't the one leading the energy either. Especially with girls, I'd watch other guys command their attention while I was just a background character in my own life. So one day I had enough of being the guy who didn't matter, and I dove deep into the psychology of status and aura. Today, I'm breaking down the 6 key concepts that actually move the needle: ownership principle, social anchoring, brutal honesty, friction point, status valuation, and congruence factor. Once these align, you stop being invisible and you start being magnetic. Let's jump straight into the first concept. 1. The ownership principle. When most guys feel invisible, they immediately start obsessing over their self-proclaimed flaws, defects that usually only exist in their own heads. They think their lack of aura is because of things they can't change, like their height or their genetics. But that mindset kills your respect instantly. Listen, you cannot change the uncontrollable, so why waste a single second thinking about it? Accept it and shift your focus toward what you can actually control. I had to learn this the hard way. I used to look in the mirror and focus on everything I wished was different, and it made me move through the world with a sense of apology. But once I accepted the things I couldn't change and shifted my focus toward what I could control, my entire life changed. Taking ownership means you stop making excuses for a weak physique or a lazy wardrobe. Step 1. Get in shape. Build a body that looks like it can handle pressure. The physical discipline of fitness is one of the loudest signals of high status aura you can send. Step 2. Invest in a style that reflects the man you want to become, rather than the one you are now. And step 3. Find a signature scent that makes your presence linger even after you've left the room. Think about it. When you see a man who has clearly spent years in the gym, wears a signature scent, and has a style that actually fits him, what is your first thought? You don't see his height, you see his discipline. Think about guys like Kevin Hart or Tom Holland. They aren't the tallest men in the room, but they have more aura than guys twice their size. Why? Because they stopped focusing on the hand they were dealt and started mastering how they play it. They built the physique, they mastered their craft, and they stopped asking for permission to be there. Aura is simply the projection of your internal self-respect, and if you don't put in the work to look powerful, don't expect the world to treat you like you are. You may have been dealt a bad genetic hand, but it's up to you how you play it. Instead of complaining about the hand you were dealt, create a strategy to win with it. Now that you've built the foundation with your physical presence, we need to talk about how you actually navigate a room. 2. Social anchoring. Have you ever noticed how most people fade into the background the moment they are introduced to someone new? Most guys are terrified of taking up too much space. They think being polite means being invisible. They say their name, shake hands, and then wait for the other person to make the next move. But when you wait for permission to be interesting, your aura drops to 0. You're signaling that you're a guest in someone else's reality, looking for their approval. Instead of just being a name, you need to provide an anchor. When I introduce people, I don't just say, "This is Mark." I say, "This is Mark, the only guy I know who actually survived a week in the jungle." By adding that one sentence, you've done 2 things. First, you've taken the pressure off everyone else to find a topic. Second, you've positioned yourself as the leader of the interaction. You are the one providing value, not seeking it. You are making the other person feel good by making the conversation effortless for them. When I was the invisible guy, I realized people weren't ignoring me because they didn't like me. They ignored me because I gave them nothing to hold on to. I was a social blank space. Social anchoring changes that instantly. It shows that you are observant, that you value the people you're with, and that you have the confidence to lead the vibe. When you anchor the conversation, you confirm exactly what a high status appearance suggests, that you are a man who moves with intention and leads the room. This works because you're no longer hiding in conversations, you're the one steering it. While physical presence and social anchors get you noticed, this next step is what makes you unshakable. 3. Brutal honesty. Do you want to know the fastest way of killing your aura? It's not being the quietest guy, nor is it being ugly. The fastest way to kill your aura is through small, harmless lies. Most guys lie constantly to avoid conflict or to make themselves look better. They'll pretend they're totally fine with a situation even when they're being blatantly disrespected just to act cool and avoid a confrontation. Or they'll act like they have this massive, busy lifestyle when a girl asks them out, making up fake plans because they think being honest about having a free night makes them look like a loser. They even lie to make their stories sound better, exaggerating details to get a bigger laugh or to seem more important. They think these little lies protect their status, but the reality is people are naturally good at picking up on off energy. Every time you twist the truth to avoid an awkward moment, you are subconsciously signaling that you are afraid of the other person's reaction. You're telling yourself and everyone else that your real life isn't good enough. And sooner or later, people will figure it out. The moment they realize you aren't who you say you are, your word loses all its weight. Your words become meaningless, and with that, you lose your aura completely. So, how do you increase your aura? You increase your aura by practicing brutal honesty. I've been there. I was a chronic people pleaser who agreed with opinions I didn't even hold, just to fit in. But the moment you start being brutally honest, you regain authenticity. Aura comes from being unshakable. When you mean what you say and say what you mean, you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. You stop seeking validation and start speaking your truth, letting people react however they want. Stop chasing approval and start standing firm in your integrity. That is the only way to build an aura that is actually real. Now, I know standing firm in your integrity and facing that social friction for the first time can feel overwhelming if you've spent years fading into the background. It's one thing to hear these concepts, it's another to have the internal operating system to actually execute them when the pressure is on. This is exactly why I built the Confidence Code. It's not just a collection of tips, it's the full psychological roadmap I used to rebuild my own foundation from the ground up. We'll dive deeper into that later in the video, but for now, let's move on to the one thing that separates the leaders from the followers when the room goes silent. 4. Social friction. Most men lose their entire aura the second a room goes silent. They are terrified of social friction. Whenever a decision needs to be made or an uncomfortable problem sits in the room, they look at the floor and pray for someone else to take the lead. But that silence is exactly where aura is earned or lost. Think about it. Whether you're at work and a project is failing, or you're out with a group that can't decide where to go, the crowd is always waiting for permission. They are waiting for it to be safe to speak up. A man with real aura doesn't wait. He feels the tension, leans into it, and makes the call. Think about the last time you were in a meeting and everyone knew the strategy was failing, but nobody wanted to be the guy to say it. The man with aura doesn't wait for the boss to ask. He addresses the elephant in the room. He says, "This isn't working, here's why, and here's how we pivot." Or think about a social group that's stuck in a loop, unable to make a simple choice. Instead of being another person saying, "I don't care, you decide," you take the weight off everyone else and you make the call. When I was the invisible guy, I thought I was being easygoing. In reality, I was just avoiding the weight of responsibility. I was letting everyone else do the heavy lifting of making choices. But the moment you start leaning into that discomfort, everything changes. You stop being a passenger in other people's lives and you become the one steering the ship. Respect isn't given to the guy who plays it safe, it's given to the man who is willing to step into the friction first. 5. Status valuation. When was the last time you gave someone a genuine compliment? Most men have zero aura because they are socially stingy. They walk into a room and wait for everyone else to make them feel comfortable. They're so stuck in their own heads, worrying about how they look, that they never actually contribute to the vibe. They don't give praise because they're afraid it makes them look weak. But the reality is the exact opposite. Real aura is built through value projection. A man of high status is so secure in himself that he can afford to acknowledge the excellence in others. But there's a secret to doing it right. If you just tell a girl she's pretty, you're a fanboy. If you tell a guy he's cool, you're just another background character. So, what should you do instead? You don't praise who people are, you praise what they've done. Don't tell someone they look good. Say, "I respect the discipline it took to build that physique," or "I appreciate that you're direct." Most people are too afraid to say what they actually think. By noticing the effort and the character behind the surface, your compliments go deeper and hit home. When I finally built real confidence, giving compliments actually got easier. I realized it didn't make me smaller to recognize someone else's wins. It did the opposite. It showed that I was so comfortable in my own skin that I didn't need to put others down to feel big. True confidence doesn't come from holding back or trying to look superior. It comes from the work you've put in yourself. You become the man who can acknowledge hard work in others because you know exactly what it takes to get there. If you're tired of feeling small and you're ready to build that kind of unshakable confidence, I've put together the Confidence Code. It's the exact roadmap I use to stop being invisible and start leading. Check the link in the description and start building real confidence today. Alright, now you know the social laws, but if you want your aura to last longer than a 5-minute conversation, you need to develop depth. 6. The congruence factor. Conor McGregor once said, "I talk the talk and I walk the walk." But if you look at the world today, most people just talk but forget to walk. Nothing kills your presence faster than being the guy who always talks about his big goals and plans. Yo bro, just wait. One day, I'm gonna be pulling up in that supercar. I'm hitting the gym 5 days a week this year, easy. I'm about to launch a clothing brand that's gonna take over the market. Fast forward 1 week and you find that same guy hand deep in a bag of chips, binge watching another Netflix series. When you do that, you aren't just lying to others, you're destroying your own self-worth. You are literally training everyone around you to realize that your words mean nothing. Aura isn't built on fantasies, it's built on action. Look, I'm not saying don't dream big, you definitely should, but they shouldn't just be dreams, they should be goals backed by a plan, and most importantly, relentless execution. True aura comes from the silent power that arises when your life actually matches your mouth. When you finally stop seeking applause for things you haven't even done yet, your presence shifts. You become a man of weight because people know that if you say it, it's already as good as done. Stop being a spectator who just talks about the game and start being the participant who actually plays it. Building aura isn't about a single hack or wearing the right clothes. It's about the consistent alignment of your words, your actions, and your character. It's a journey from being the invisible guy to becoming the man who commands the room just by existing. I know how hard it is to break those old habits and face that social friction for the first time. But if you're ready to stop playing it safe and want a step-by-step roadmap to accelerate this process, I've put everything I've learned into the Confidence Code. It's the exact system I use to transform my life. Check the link in the description and start building your legacy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.